introductions. I think the speakers, I will allow each of them to just do a short round of introductions before we start with the official presentations. So just something short, please. Who you are, your position, what you do, and then you can hand over to the next person. So I will start with Charu, if you don't mind going first.
Thank you, Carly. And I'm excited to be here. I'm Charu Govindan from Chennai, state of Tamil Nadu, India, and also a citizens collective called Voice of People. And I'm really excited to be here in sharing our insights and experience on the participatory democracy experiences in our city. I'm also really keen to hear from the same experience from all of you also. Thank you.
Columbina, can you go next?
Yes, thank you. My name is Colombina. I'm executive director at a Latin American organization called Ciudadanía Inteligente, which works to strengthen and also increasingly, unfortunately, to defend democracies in Latin America. And I'm very excited to be here. I'll be talking about a specific project we have conducted at the local government level in different countries in the region. So I'm very looking forward to this discussion and to know more about the other initiatives. Thank you.
Joe, can you go next?
Sure. My name is Joe Matthews. I'm a journalist in Los Angeles, California columnist for Zocalo Public Square, a fellow at the Berggruen Institute's Democracy Program, and I'm a founder publisher of Democracy Local, which is a planetary publication devoted to local governance around the world, everyday people governing themselves, and relevant to this discussion. I'm mixed up in an effort called Rewrite LA to rewrite the charter, the constitution or basic law of the city of Los Angeles, which is underway right now.
Thank you, Joe. Santosh, can you go next?
Sure. Thanks, Carly. Hello, everyone. This is Santosh, and I'm representing Janaagraha Center for Citizenship and Democracy. Janaagraha has been around for more than 2 decades. We are in the 24th year, to be precise. Janaagraha works with the government and the community to strengthen what we call as city systems. We try and bring the elected leadership, the bureaucracy, and the community together to solve the city's intricate problems. And I am director of policy engagement. So my other interests are working with the community. Right now, I am working with the central and the state governments to push for some of the reforms that we need in the urban governance in India. Thank you.
Thank you, Santosh. I think I will give Kathyayini the honor to introduce herself next. But before you do so, I think you can directly go into your presentation after your introduction, because looking at the time, we are heading into that direction right now. And then with Dennis and Carlos, I will save your introductions for the second round. So we can continue with Kathyayini. Please go ahead.
Thanks to all. I'm so privileged to be able to speak at this international conference. I represent Civic Bangalore. It is a 31-year-old organization, and it's been working on citizen participation, advocacy with the government on transparency and accountability to citizens, and also working a lot with the urban poor on their rights-based issues, right to food, health, education, and social security. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. So shall I start sharing?
Please do.
My presentation?
Yes, you can.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Dennis?
Yes. I've not introduced myself.
No. I think you didn't hear. So Kathyayini will do a presentation now, and then I
Okay.
will let you and Carlos introduce yourselves in the second round. Because I'm
That's
just
okay.
looking at the time. Yeah, no
Oh,
problem.
it's okay. All right.
Kathyayini, you can go ahead.
I'm not able to go to my slideshow because this something is blocking the view.
Oh, you can do it also on the bottom.
Um,
On the bottom right, you
Yes.
see this
Okay.
75%, and then this little stand, this icon next to it.
Can you see it now?
No. Yes, now we see it. Perfect.
Yes. Okay. So I'll be speaking on the constitutional provisions for citizen participation in Karnataka state, which is part of India, and also about the challenges we are facing. And it was Mahatma Gandhi's dream to bring back local self-government in India after the British were sent back. But it was only in 1992 that the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act institutionalized citizen participation in cities with the slogan, Power to the People. And cities with more than 300,000 population were to constitute ward committees. A ward is the smallest administrative unit in the cities, and citizens were to be part of that institutionalized structure. But it was left to provincial governments, that is the states, to enact the conformity legislation on how they wish to constitute ward committees, as urban development is a state subject, a provincial government's uh, responsibility. As the initial ward committees in 1999 were very ineffective, another amendment was made to the Karnataka law in 2011 to nominate 10 citizens from the ward as members of ward committees. And the elected councillor was to chair the committees, and he would be nominating persons to the ward committee. And the 10 members were to represent all stakeholders, at least minimum 2 members from the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, the former untouchable communities, at least 3 women, 3 from other general categories, and 2 from registered associations working in the ward. And further, in addition, area sabhas, that is neighborhood groups of voters, for a maximum of 5 polling booth areas, that is maximum of about 5,000 voters, were to be created uh, for them to gather and, with one voter nominated as the area sabha representative. So, and the area sabhas were to meet every quarter, and the ward committees were to meet every month. The main function of area sabhas was to plan for their areas, and the ward committees were to collate all the plans from areas and submit them to the government for budgeting. The ward committees were also to monitor the works in the ward to ensure proper usage of the funds and get better service delivery. And however, due to lack of political will of the councillors as well as the other elected representatives, the will to devolve power to the people was not there. So even though it was in the law, the area sabhas were never constituted, and we had to go to the court always and get an order for the constitution of even the ward committees. And the court had to direct them to meet monthly also. So that unless we have the meeting, we could not meet or do any work uh, as citizens. So this is a picture of one of the ward committee meetings where I was also a member. And because it needed a lot of citizen awareness about what is in the law to enable them to participate effectively in the ward committees, Civic undertook a series of awareness programs, and we also did a ward level planning exercise with the citizens of one ward. And we saw to it that the officials agreed to accept our plans from the citizens, and we formed the federation of the organizations of the ward and oriented them on the planning process. And so we first of all shared a ward map with the citizens, because very often they wouldn't know even the boundaries of the ward. And we showed them that the lower part is very well developed, and the upper part was very full of slum settlements. And the biggest challenge we faced was to bring the different sections of society, the affluent resident welfare associations and the slum dwellers associations, to come on a common platform and collectively plan for their ward, as a comprehensive exercise. And we took the affluent people to the slums, and we had several street level meetings to make them aware of the problems that the slums are facing. And then we sensitized them, and so they came up with the issues and the solutions and prioritized the works that they wanted undertaken, and also got them budgeted through the officials. And then we presented it to the councillor, elected woman councillor, and the engineers. But the fortunate thing was that the affluent RWAs, the resident welfare associations, agreed that 80% of the funds should go to the slums, and they were happy with just 20%. And but uh, only 25% of the citizens' demands were finally included in the budget, because they were not open to allowing citizens to plan. Anyway, and we also did a social audit of one particular development work, because we wanted to show citizens what is possible for them to do to stop misuse of funds and to make sure the funds are used properly. And these were the dustbins that were supposed to have been provided in the park, but they were in this condition. And ornamental benches were supposed to be uh, placed in the park, and this was their condition. And children's play equipment was in this condition. So it was obvious that none of this work had been done that year, and the money had actually been misspent or embezzled. So we conducted a public hearing, and we exposed all this misappropriation of the funds, and the engineers were made to restore the equipment properly in the next year through citizen pressure. So that was one of our achievements. And uh, but now uh, we were being nominated by the councillor as ward committee members. So we wanted to get citizens to apply for the seats, so that there is more a democratic process of nomination. And so we met the mayor and asked her to accept citizens' applications. And she agreed, but only 5 out of 1,000 applications were accepted finally of the citizens. Then meetings were never used to be held. So we met the mayor, another mayor, and we requested her to fix a particular day in the month when ward committee meetings would happen all over the city. So this helped, because a circular was issued saying that everybody should meet on a fixed day. So I think with the help of citizens, more than 1,000 meetings were held because of this circular. And to incentivize these elected representatives to conduct the meetings regularly so that citizens can participate, we honored about 25% of the councillors who had at least held 4 meetings in 6 months. So that was an impetus for them to conduct the meetings regularly. But we are facing so many challenges. And apart from Bengaluru, in the other cities where it was supposed to be constituted, they had not constituted the ward committees for more than 28 years. So we filed a public interest litigation, and we got a favorable order from the court to conduct, asking the other cities also to conduct ward committees. And so now we have, especially in Mangaluru, area sabhas have also been notified. Ward committees have come into existence, and citizens' applications are being accepted by the councillors. But this has also led to inequality before law, because now Bengaluru has a separate law, and the other bigger cities have a separate law, and the smaller cities have another law. And the smaller cities have a very progressive law. So we have filed a public interest litigation demanding a common law for all the cities and supplementary provisions where the bigger cities need some special provisions. So that public interest litigation for common law is still pending before the courts. So that is where we stand right now. But again, we conducted several awareness programs in these other cities because citizens were not aware of what they can achieve by participating in the award committees. So we explained the laws to them. And also we did a lot of advocacy with the municipal commissioners, the officials, asking them to allow citizens to apply for the posts of ward committee members and also to constitute the ward committees and to notify the area sapas so that more and more citizens can participate. So that is where we are. And so thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I hope I have not overcrossed the time.
Thank you so much. That was so insightful and so empowering just to see the work that's been done. Not to take any more time, I will hand over to Santosh, who can begin his presentation and the work that the
Yes.
organization does with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carly, and always lovely to hear Kathyayini on the ward committee's work. So I shared some of the the works that have been going on in Karnataka. Having also joined hands with Kathyayini and Civic for the ward committee's work. But I will not. I would, as I've chosen another topic. There was a mess. Okay, so let me share my presentation, which is about. Um, yeah, can you see my screen? I hope you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Looks like it is loading.
Okay, I
Can
could
you
just
see now?
Yeah.
Now we see it.
Yeah. So this story is about, or this case is about slum dwellers in a state called Odisha in the eastern part of India. It is one of the states with high tribal population, very high, portion of population living below the poverty line. It is also a state where urbanization is happening at a fast pace. So this state happens to have about 115 cities, and as we see in most cities, um, are you able to hear me? Yeah. So as happens in most cities, most of the services, the support services, are provided by people living in urban poor neighborhoods, and their living conditions are not very visible to the rest of the city. So this is how the government of Odisha initiated a mission called as Odisha Livable Habitats Mission. And the idea was to develop and provide land rights to the urban poor or slum dwellers in situ, that is in the very place they are living. Generally what happens is people living in slum areas or poor neighborhoods are displaced for so-called redevelopment, and they are chased away to the periphery of the town or the city. So the government chose to take a humane view of that, and decided to provide land rights to the urban poor in the places they were living. So I'll share some of the statistics. Uh, the on an average, in India's cities, 1 out of 6 persons lives in slums. If we come to Odisha and you see it on the map, the red portion there, that is the state of Odisha, about 1.7 million people were living in these slums before this mission started, roughly about 400,000 households, which form nearly 25% of the urban population in that state. This mission was started in phases, and what is our role here is Janaagraha, because of its long standing work on community participation, was invited to partner with the government of Odisha to help them achieve this mission in a participatory manner. So participation was made an integral part of this whole mission, and it was called as participatory slum upgradation. So Janagra, as it got involved, we suggested several ways in which participation could be institutionalized right at the outset. So MOUs were signed with the Slum Dweller Association. So there were about 3,000 slum dweller associations across 115 cities. So let's say the capital city of Bhubaneswar has about 400 or 450 slums, whereas a small town could have only about 5 slums. So in each of these slums, slum dweller associations were formed, and every household was made the member of the slum dweller association. So being a member provided them the right to participate in the discussions, vote on matters relating to their community and all that. So what the government did was it not only provided lands to the households, it felt that just providing lands would be enough. So it had to provide housing, it had to provide all the basic facilities such as water, roads, drains, sanitation like toilets and community space, and parks, and water supply, electricity supply. So there were 9 basic categories of services and infrastructure were identified, and they were delivered. So to do this, MOUs were signed between the Slum Dweller Association and the municipalities, each of these municipalities. Bank accounts were also opened for each of these slum dwellers. And whatever development had to be done was identified through what was called as participatory needs assessment surveys, which were conducted by the slum dweller associations themselves. And based on those needs assessment, the infrastructure was developed. Even the slum dweller association was authorized to oversee all these development works. You will see in this next slide um, that these are the 9 verticals. Some of the pictures are of the transformed slum areas. You will see that nice paved roads, or electricity, lighting provided in the streets. It was not safe for women to walk, or women or elderly people to walk, after sunset and all. So now it has been facilitated. So the needs that were identified were met by providing the funds, and 25% of the state budget was allocated. We made sure that funds were earmarked from the budget for the Slum Dweller Association. So once all these 9 areas of infrastructure and services were developed in a slum, the law mandated that the Slum Dweller Association had to pass a resolution in its one of its meeting, saying that now our community has been developed and we have been provided with all these facilities, and therefore now we may no more be called a slum. So that stigma of being called slum was also removed, and it was struck off from the official records. So far we have about 60% of the slums officially like removed from the official list of slums, and nearly 25 cities in the state have become slum-free cities. And this is all official, and this has been possible because the government and the slum dweller associations and the municipalities came together and the community was involved right from the beginning. So what we also did was we undertook, I'll come to that, but just one more data point that the slum dweller associations have the executive committees, like just like how we mentioned about ward committees having 10 members. In the slum dweller associations, we have a committee of executive committee of 10 persons. It was mandated that 50% of these executive committee members were to be women. So therefore, we have like 15,000 executive members who are women. And um, many, after many women and many of these executive committee members have also gone on to contest the ward councillor elections and even got elected at the ward level. So that has been the kind of empowerment. Um, so this has been possible because continuous capacity building was undertaken, technology was used. So we had one of the massive training exercises across the state, where nearly 30,000 people, slum dweller association leaders, were trained, and we developed as many as 500 master trainers, so that the knowledge that was developed remains within the community. So yeah, I mean, there are many things, but these are some highlights. This mission has completed more than 5 years already. And you see some of those pictures of, there are lots of pictures, but due to shortage of time, I could not share. But yeah, this has become like a model for slum upgradation across the world, not just in the country. It is also, said that it is one of the largest slum upgradation programs across the world. There have been some benchmarks in Kenya and some other places, Indonesia, some other places in the world, but this also joins some of those models. So lastly, how it was possible was participation was made integral part of this whole mission. Equity, the slogan was not to leave anyone behind. And then the community was empowered to make its own decisions. Capacity building was given prominence right from the beginning. And then the whole thing was done with a systems approach, and not in a piecemeal manner. So I think with all these, it was a good recipe for achieving success. Now, what we look forward is what has been done at the slum level could be extended to the ward level, and later to the whole city, where the communities at large are empowered to participate in their local development. So as a result, even a state law has been passed where the ward committees have been kind of embedded in the law itself now, but we are yet to see the operationalization. So what we would like to also see is expand this kind of approach to slum upgradation and participation to other states in India, and not just in the to the entire cities, but other states in the country. Yeah, so that's in short about participatory slum upgradation from Odisha. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santosh. That is so interesting. It would be interesting also to just see how this might connect with the work that Columbina does, but we'll get to that in the next section.
Sure.
For now, we will ask Joe to share more about his experiences in LA, and also tell us more about the Citizens Assembly he is organizing next year. Is Joe still in the room with us?
I am. I can see myself. Can you see me?
Okay, I can see it now.
Oh, those are two powerful presentations and difficult to follow. Let me start in 1999, the last time that the city of Los Angeles wrote its charter. In that process, and there was a creation of a new kind of government, a neighborhood government called the Neighborhood Council in the city. There were supposed to be 100 of them. The city was divided up in a map, our city of 4 million then 3.6 million, divided into 100 neighborhoods. Each was supposed to have its own council. One neighborhood chose not to do so, the richest neighborhood in all of the city. It decided to keep its old-fashioned club, which wasn't terribly engaged. That neighborhood, Pacific Palisades, burned to the ground on January 7th, 2025. I'm not making a connection between those two things. Correlation isn't causation, but neighborhood government matters. And Pacific Palisades wasn't ready for the kinds of disasters and fires that we face now. Unfortunately, nor the other 99 neighborhoods aren't either. Los Angeles has grown dramatically, but its democracy has failed to keep up with its growth. Its neighborhood councils are the latest in a series of experiments to decentralize, but decentralization has often not come with real democratic, not just power, but capacity. Our neighborhood councils, each one allow anyone who either lives in a neighborhood, works in a neighborhood, commutes through a neighborhood, owns property in a neighborhood, even in the statute it says rides a horse in a neighborhood. We do have a lot of horses here still. It's the West. To be a member of the council, to be elected and to participate. There are tools, including referendum and the beginnings of use of some participatory tools at the neighborhood level in budgeting and planning. However, the decisions taken in these neighborhood councils are set up as to not have any real effect in themselves. They have to be embraced by a city government or the city council to take effect. So this made these bodies less desirable over the years to be part of, to participate in, because you can do things and work and it doesn't react. This dynamic of a rapidly growing, very rich city with a GDP greater than many of the countries in the world. At the same time, its democracy doesn't catch up is a big theme of Los Angeles. Los Angeles has often been run by small numbers of people who aren't in the government, real estate developers, Hollywood figures, and others. Private power has often made the decisions. The charter that we're now working on was drafted in just to give you a sense of the growth. In the year 1900, Los Angeles had 102,000 people. When the city charter was drafted first in 1924, it had about 800,000 people. 1999, it was 3.6. Now we're at 4. But again, in each of those documents, we essentially have we've tried two kind of ways of doing things to decentralize. Again, neighborhood councils were one. There have been districts and planning by community, and even more broadly, to give you context, Los Angeles is a city of 4 million people within a county of 10 million people that is also called Los Angeles. That county has 88 cities, of which Los Angeles City is the largest. I live in a small one of those 88 cities, South Pasadena, population 26,000. So even our structure is very decentralized. But those cities are relatively weak. They lack capacity. They have limits on their ability to raise revenues. And there are all kinds of restrictions on their ability to decide for themselves. One of the areas of where they have very few successes, great projects or programs or advances to point to. And because they don't have a lot of power, they don't have a lot of engagement and participation. That's why at this particular moment in LA, we've decided to try for the assembly because things are really, really bad. We have a growing unhoused population. 1 in every 40 people in Los Angeles lives on the street. We've had political corruption, 6 major federal prosecutions of officials in a city council that has only 15 people, 1-5 for 4 million. We had an episode where a tape called the racist tape, a secret tape made of a long conversation in our county labor federation's office of the top labor leader of the county and 3 members of our 15-member city council saying racist things, bigoted things about every single racial and ethnic group in Los Angeles. And that's over 100. I mean, they didn't leave anyone out. They got the Armenians and the Persians and everybody. That tape led to interest in reforming the city and reforming the city council, but it stalled out last year until we had our destructive fires that destroyed Pacific Palisades, destroyed an unincorporated part of the county, Altadena, very near where I live, destroyed parts of Malibu, and demonstrated that our basic systems weren't up to meeting threats. On top of that, the city of Los Angeles has been effectively attacked by its national government, President Trump, with secret police from the federal Department of Homeland Security let loose on minority communities. And almost every community in an American context in Los Angeles is a minority community that is not non-white in large, either in majority or plurality. People, including in my own community, are grabbed off the streets, pushed, shoved down, just for looking for and often looking like they might have Latin American heritage. This has been reinforced with a continued deployment of the U.S. military into the city. In some sense, we feel that in LA, especially, and even more broadly in California, which is a political place of political opposition to the president, we've been kicked out of the country. So all the more reason, and the country is no longer the democratic republic it was. So the theory here is that Los Angeles, the second largest city by population in the United States, has a rare opportunity, has both a need because its systems aren't working for itself, and an opportunity in a sort of post-republic United States where the federal government is attacking us and also dismantling itself, breaking down bureaucracies that we've relied on to build a new city, to create a new city, a new charter, the first charter of the first American Constitution of the post-republic area, right here in Los Angeles. We've engaged a broad coalition of people. We've got a website, which I will put in the chat, rewritela.org. Because it's Los Angeles, we have a chairman who's a well-known film director named Daniel Kwan. He's the director of a movie many of you may have seen, Everything, Everywhere, All in Once was its English titles, starring the Singapore-born actress Michelle Yeoh from 2 years ago. And we have Jamie Lee Curtis handling our Instagram. It's a crazy situation. We're working with a charter commission that was appointed by the city and mayor, but has been given limited resources because the city and mayor don't want big changes. They're working for it anyway. They've asked me and now this coalition of groups from all over the city to put together an assembly. We have the website. We're doing a couple of mini assemblies. Our time is short. So the first one is on December 13th, where we're looking at some issues within our charter, which currently is a 52,000 page document, that the charter commission, the formal commission, doesn't have time to look at. We're examining in 1 day long assemblies of Angelenos chosen by lottery. We're going to do 3 of those. Then we hope to do a 3-month long one. That's the thing we don't have money for. Starting in February, will be incorporated with the commission's recommendations and then go to the city council, which has till July of next year to put them on the November 2026 ballot. In our system, the charter belongs to the people. So if you want to change it, you have to get the voters to approve it. Let me stop there. Thank you for listening.
Wow. Thank you, Joe. I'm just thinking, it's if we have to think about the US and then the different cities in India, the challenge it is just to communicate with your representatives is so difficult. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. This is something that we are continuously, it's an issue that we're continuously facing. And given I suppose, the image of the US being this first world country and having everything going for them, and I know that's changing currently, it's just interesting to see how these gaps grow even when you are in a country that is supposedly economically prosperous and politically stable to some extent over the decades. So, yeah, I just want to see if there's any questions that the speakers have for one another in this time period. Um, and if there's any questions in the chat that we could bring up.
No, at the moment, there is nothing in the chat, but of course, everyone is more than welcome to write their questions.
So, can we ask or should we type?
You can ask. The speakers can ask for now. The participants have to type.
So I'll use that privilege. So thank you. This one is for Joe. So you were saying that the first charter of Los Angeles was in 1924. So how is this charter like come into force? Like, is it coming from the federal government or like? So where does this local government get the power from? In India, we have coming it from the constitution. It comes to the provincial government. Then the provincial government has to devolve, further decentralize the power. That is what Kathyayini was mentioning earlier. And there is always, the at all levels they want to hold back the powers. That is first in the letter, and then in spirit, whatever is devolved in letter is also not happening in spirit actually. So I just want to understand how. But normally the picture we have, like Kali was saying, is um, it sounds that the local governments in a country like US must be very empowered, like the New York elections were like so famous everywhere. So I don't know, maybe you want to add, throw some light.
Sure. So it comes from the people of Los Angeles, and it's a choice. It's different in different states in the United States. There are some states that are home rule states where the cities and counties, the local governments have their own charters, their own constitutions. They're expected to set them at the local level, decide rules for themselves that are separate and can be different than the states, different than the US. I actually think one reason Trump is attacking cities more directly rather than states generally is partly it's political opposition, partly it's that in the American system, the only real challenge to this incredibly powerful national government and presidency is the localities. They have a right to govern themselves in a way that like states are and counties are somewhat more tied to the federal. So there's the home rule and then there's Dillon rule. It's not like the actor Matt Dillon, it's a different Dillon, which basically says that the cities are departments of the state and have to sort of follow the general laws of the state. California, being a place that likes to make things confusing, is both. It's both a home rule and a Dillon rule state. And so we have 483 cities, and they get to choose and 58 counties, and each gets to choose. Does it want to have home rule? Does it want to have its own constitution, its own charter? Or does it want to just be a general law city, as we call it, and follow the rules of the state? Almost all the big ones and cities have chosen home rule. The big cities want more, and they often have more capacity and bigger governments. Smaller places tend to be general law and live by the Dillon rule.
And sorry, a supplementary question. So choosing a general law comes with some incentives like funds from the state government or the federal government?
I mean, you get funds either way. You don't get more funds. There are certain things the state will do for you, but and there used to be more, but we have the Direct Democracy Initiative referendum, and in 1978, voters in California approved Prop 13, which radically changed actually limited local power over taxation in both kinds of cities, both the charter cities and the general law. And that centralized taxation power in California and really centralized our governance. A lot of my work as a journalist has been writing about how bad this has been, and that's what drives me at a local level to the local level. So there's less benefit to it now, but it's and you're seeing more localities try to write charters, but I would still say these charters are pretty primitive compared to some of the large city basic laws, constitutions, mission statements I counter around the world. We are not reckoning with some of these bigger ideas of what cities can be. I think Los Angeles would probably fit well as a caring city, as some cities have declared, the big cities have declared themselves around the world. But if you ask Angelinos, and I'm doing it now, what's a caring city? They look at you like you have two heads. They've never heard of the concept. So the US, for all its economic advances, is still a very primitive place democratically. And I think that's being exposed by this particular authoritarian that we have running the country now.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Wow. That was really interesting. Okay,
Can I
so
ask a quick question?
Charu,
yeah.
Okay, so I would like to do the next round of speakers, and then directly after we can jump into it. So just hold that thought. Okay, so I am going to ask Carlos to first introduce himself and then share his presentation. And then after that, I will ask Dennis to do the same. But Carlos, you have the floor.
We cannot hear you at the moment, Carlos. You have to?
Yes, sorry. I'm sorry. I hope that I am going to talk in the second round, so I have to do something, but I am hearing. So I want to, I want to share my presentation. Let me see here and here. Okay, are you looking that? Okay. Well, in the first time, I want to thank to Democracy International, Caroline and Carly, to invite me here. I feel, as I know I am, in a very strong assembly, the people who is working to maintain and to make better the democracy in the world and in our countries. So I want to start making a proposal, then Caroline and Carly and Democracy International can work with us like a network to share and to work together. We are living a very, very dangerous time. I saw it from Mexico, but I just hearing my friends and I say we need to work together. So, well, I prepared this PTT because as Caroline knows, my English is kind of a strange thing. So I think if I wrote it in Spanish and then translate it, I can make it better. So I'm going to talk about Mexico City in the overview. There is a lot of things to talk about it, but there's only 7 minutes and I spent 1 or 2. Well, I have 3 points to share. You asked us to talk about the experience and the lessons and the challenges. So I want to share with you that and to talk about myself. I am now an activist and professor in democracy, electoral, and citizenship issues or matters. I am the president of a group of experts named El Ágora CGMX. We are based in Panama. I was there 3 years leading the International IDEA office, and we built this initiative. So also I am teaching in the Universidad Anáhuac and etc. etc. Well, the context. Let me show, or let me talk about three items about the context of political participation in Mexico City. First, there is a very strong political participation in Mexico City, but almost the major part of this political participation is running in non-institutionalized ways. It's more autonomous and not very organized. We have a city overview. Remember, the Mexico City is inside the metropolitan area of 28 million persons, so it's very, very huge. So there is a overall and a lot of specific and local experiences. I think that the more potential of this political participation is there in the non-institutionalized ways. Okay, and then I want to talk about the lessons learning, about the incentives, the innovating factors, and how this little local participation may grow to appropriate the public space. And the challenges, citizen building, democratic resilience. Carly, when I have only 1 minute, move your hand, please, because I have problem with time. Well, the context, the huge institutional and legal framework. We have since 2015 a constitution in Mexico City. Mexico is a federal republic, but the capital wasn't have a constitution like the other examples that Joe talked about in US and also in Mexican context. But in 2015, we have a constitution. Okay, the constitution talks about representative, participatory, and direct democracy. So we have in the constitution a good framework to the political citizen participation. We have, of course, citizen participation law as almost all the states in Mexico. And we have 19 participatory mechanism in this law. Let me tell them institutionalized participation as participatory building, as referendums, plebiscito, etc., etc. And we have also recognized in the law a non-institutionalized participation. The law says regulated by society, not by government, not by anything else, but by society. And this is the point that I want to focus on. So, and also we have this legal framework and very strong. I mean, we have an institutional framework also. We have an autonomous constitutional administrative body for these participations to conduct, and also a tribunal that resolve the conflicts, and a lot of oversight authorities looking for everything is going well. Okay, that sounds very nice. Mexico, rah, 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 but we have a lot of problems under this strong framework. First, we already have, after the democratic transition, and political partisan colonization of this mechanism. Because we remain a corporative structure from the past, but it's just changed the party. It came from PRI and then goes to PRD and now is with Morena. It's the same clientelar, the corporatism structure with labor unions and local organizations. This is one of the most important problems. The government has a very clear interest to control this citizen mechanism. For instance, the participatory budget is around 5% of the total budget of each alcaldía. Okay, we are okay. But we have to understand or to have in mind that the alcaldía's budget is at least 60 or 70% only to pay employers, salaries and things. You can't touch this. So the remain, or that really can't use the authority, is around the 30% of the, no, 30, yeah, 30% of their own budget. So if you put, and you have 5% that don't move, because is this 5% for the participatory budget is about all the budget, not only the investor or the free budget of the alcaldía. So it makes something too more than 5%. And the authority has the interest to take this money to work with that. And then they colonized participatory budget and move with the clientelar structure to have proposals from the society that they put there. So they control the participatory budget. It's a crazy thing because it is anti-natural, but that's the result of this political structure of the city. And well, the participation in these institutionalized mechanisms are also lower because nobody has a confidence of this mechanism. So we have at much 5-6% of participation in the participatory budget, for instance. Well, the non-institutionalized political participation, I have a few minutes more. Mexico City has a constitution, and Mexico City has very strong civic life, promote from the back, how do you say, from the level, bottom level, from the ground, that this mobilization, not institutionalized mobilization, promoted political change and all the reforms, also the constitution. And there is a very effective resilience. I don't know if you hear about the mobilizations in Mexico City and all other cities in Mexico against the crime, insecurity, and that the government is not doing anything or not too much. So and it makes everybody and political class have to do something. Sorry. Okay. Well, the lessons learned in Mexico City participation in that context is that the people is moving because they want to access the public resources for the well-being of communities. The government sometimes has a good ideas, but sometimes doesn't. So this mechanism works to well-being in the communities and to have public resources. That's the real. And also, we have to be realistic. The people also want to be part of this institutionalized process because they want to get into the clientelist networks because it is have the significance of benefits, material benefits, but also to place to work and to have better social support, wealth, and academic, etc. Things that stop this participation, of course, is the corporatist cooptation of participatory spaces. The political and the government has. I finished my time, Carly. I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I can't read it, but
yes, if you
well,
can
in
summarize quickly.
okay, we okay, yeah, we can talk this
Okay.
later. Okay, and
Okay.
take a picture. Here.
We can definitely bring it up in the Q&A phase, hopefully.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Carlo, as well. I think if Dennis is still in the room with us, I don't know if he's still here. If he could, yes, there he is. If he could just introduce himself and then start with his presentation, what he'd like to share with us. Dennis, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Dennis Ekwere. I am Executive Director of Children and Young People Living for Peace. We are a not-for-profit organization in Nigeria that works to advance democracy among youth and women. Thank you. Can I go on, please?
Yes, you can. Please do. Please tell us more
Okay.
about what you do and your experience in Kaduna State.
Yes.
Dennis, sorry, but if you could turn your phone because you are sideways for us. That's a little bit better. Thank you.
This is better now, right?
This is much better.
Yes. Okay, so Children and Young People Living for Peace, also known as CYPLP, center its work around grassroots democracy. We are strong believers that democracy is of the people and for the people and by the people. And so democracy should start from bottom up, not the way it is in Nigeria specifically, is top bottom. So they have positioned democracy so holistic that people at the grassroots are not interested in participating in anything that has to do with democracy. And so it shows a lot of distrust of citizens with their government. And it shows a lot of disconnect in terms of policy formulation, policy planning and policy implementations, because the people are not at the first time consulted, listened to. And so democracy seems not to work for them. And so what we are doing at Children and Young People Living for Peace is to see how we can come and make something that is systemic, a change where we can turn it upside down and begins to see how democracy can begin from the bottom up, beginning from our homes, the way we democracy is not just about the election. Democracy is about every way of life, everyday living, how we live life democratically, how we listen to ourselves, how we form policies and guidelines that governs us. And so what we do is to see how we can bring in young people into rooms for discussion, where we can bring women. And funny enough, Nigeria is densely populated by youth population. But you see that this young population are not carried along in democracy. They are not in decision-making tables. And so what we are doing is to see how we can bring young people into dialogue meetings, having dialogue meetings with them, motivating them to have interest around democracy, and motivating them to have interest to support democracy, motivating them to have interest and values for democratic norms. And so that's what we have been doing all this while. And so we also do what we call local government engagement policy meetings, where we involve people at the grassroots policy tables, like the local government councillors, which are basically those that make policies at the last level of governance, which is the local government. So we see how we can, discuss with them, look at the legal frameworks that governs what citizens, how citizens live and what citizens are doing. And so we begin to talk to them and enlighten them on how they can strengthen those grassroots legal frameworks that can better up the lives of people at the grassroots. And so from moving from that point, we also look at elections. Elections is not just about voting. Election is all about people being voted for. And so on our own programming, we have what we call springboard programming, where we bring in young people, people below 25, 30, and women to contest for elective positions so that they can have a say in decision-making table when they are elected. We don't want our young people to be assumed or seen as only voters. We want them to be voted for equally so that they can have a say. And democracy is freedom. Democracy is human rights. So young people have rights to participate in democracy. And so in these few minutes, let's have described basically what I do and what we will always do. And I'm open for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. That's one thing that I've been hearing a lot from these conversations is that inclusion is so important in our democratic participation, our processes. And at the end of the day, in the real world, a lot of people are left out, especially the youth, of that conversation. And you're also talking about women empowerment, which is why I will move now to Charu, because I believe her organization was built and started by a woman, and I'm sure she has a lot to add as well. So you can go, Charu.
Thank you, Carly, and thank you, Dennis, for that wonderful definition of democracy. You're saying, what is democracy? Democracy is freedom, democracy is human rights. And I feel that, even though we are all separated by borders in the big world called Earth, but our thirst and our passion for democracy is common here. That's what I felt. And so at this moment, I really want to thank Carolyn, Carly, and the whole team at Democracy International for, facilitating this dialogue, and made this possible today. And it's truly a privilege and a greatest opportunity for a citizen, concerned citizen like our collective voice of people to be participating and representing our city, Chennai, and all other citizens. And I want to mention here, right, probably I did my engineering, I'm from a technology background, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, or I'm a friend, but of all the other titles in the social space, I'm able to attach myself to the title of concerned citizen, right? So being like 10 years back, you guys can all Google 2015 Chennai floods. That is the initial trigger point for a few of the citizens from my city. I think at this point, I need to get the focus on my city, Chennai, which is capital of Tamil Nadu, South India. And today, it is a home for almost 12.7 million people. Yes, you heard it right. It's 12.7 million people. So it's one of the most populated city, not only in India, but also in the global rank. And when I was listening, I was able to relate to a lot of stuff which Joe shared about Los Angeles, right? The Chennai city has a richest history, not only, and that's not the focus here. It also has a richest history in the municipal administration. Chennai is governed by Greater Chennai Corporation, which used to be called Madras Corporation. It's one of the oldest corporation institutionalized, not only in India, it's the second oldest in the world, thanks to the British era. After the London, it was Chennai Corporation, which was introduced in 1600s. So that time from colonial era to then independence India, and then Kathyayini ma'am from Civic Bangalore, as she rightly explained, after the 73rd and 74th Amendment, the local government have been institutionalized. So we have a union government, state government, and a third tier local government. The powers have been devolved, but on the papers, but in reality, or the powers are really getting devolved to the local governments? It's the biggest question. So that's where we, voice of people, who truly believe for a democracy to be vibrant, for democracy to survive, every citizen, irrespective of the background, irrespective of the education, should have a voice in the governance of their city, their neighborhood, their state. Only then we will be able to achieve transparency and accountability. And at this point, I want you to understand that we are basically a group of concerned citizens. We are not an NGO, we are not a funded organization. We work and we volunteer for these things because we are passionate about democracy. But we woke up very late, when we woke up very late because as you can say, Kathyayini ma'am was talking about the laws and everything, and we are the neighboring city of Karnataka, but in around 2018 and 19, after the floods, we really wanted to directly participate in governance, and we don't know how. We really didn't know how because all our education system didn't include anything about the civic education. We talked about computers, we talked about histories, we talked about kings and queens, but we didn't talk about the laws that that gave power and rights to the citizen. Democracy is not just privilege, right? It is responsibility as well. But then that's when we realized if we citizens who are educated, who are privileged, who can afford time, didn't care for the democracy, then it is not right? We cannot blame the government alone. So we want to contribute our energy in a constructive way and participate. That's when we want to know what are my participatory platforms. That's where our question started. So that time we know that in Tamil Nadu and the whole of India for 30 years after 73rd Amendment, Grama Sabha was there. Grama Sabha is like a citizen assemblies in the rural areas. So we were asking where are the similar citizen assemblies on the urban places because, Chennai is like 80%, Tamil Nadu is like 60% urbanized state. So in Karnataka, when Kathyayini ma'am was talking about, she said the court intervened and asked the government to form the ward committees. Whereas in Tamil Nadu, our movement is completely through citizens' voice, the power of people. We realized that, we have to achieve this through our unity. That's when few citizens, we thought it is not just few of us can make it. We have to be a collective. We started talking about it. We started talking about the importance of having our voice in the local governance, especially after the floods, which really exposed how the top-down decisions, it was not a natural disaster. It was a man-made disaster. Lacking local people's concerns, local people wisdom was not taken into when these people in some cities and some small rooms made the decision for my streets, my rivers, and my roads. So we kind of built that movement among us. And then we also, made a big collective of other people movements, other individuals, activities who are all believed in the power of participatory democracy. And we thought only together we can win. So we made this collective and started educating ourselves about the laws, we actually invited the experts from Karnataka, Kerala, and the other states, and we, educated ourselves. Once we educated ourselves, we started pushing the government in all possible democratic ways, writing the petition, doing protest, meeting the officials. That's when we realized, that's when we actually came to know that the law actually existed in Tamil Nadu for ward committees and area sabha in 2010 itself. But the government wasn't even implementing it because the lack of political will and equally because of the citizens' apathy. That's when we think the law is, so law is there, but it's just only on the paper. So we started, exposing that, and parallelly we started running campaigns with the public places so that, it should not be only ask for people movements. It should be asked from the citizens. So please let me know if I'm running out of time, then I'll cut short because I'm also passionate about talking. I'll keep talking. So it's and the breakthrough happened in 2021 assembly elections. That's when, some of the parties started listening, and they actually gave the promise in their manifestos that when they come to power, they will make these citizens assemblies active in cities also. So in 2022, Tamil Nadu became the very first state in whole of India to constitute and institutionalize area sabhas. Why area sabhas are special compared to ward committees? Ward committees are still a representative body, whereas area sabhas, your neighborhood citizen assembly, is every voter, every resident of that area automatically becomes the member. So that is the outermost citizens assembly in the grassroots of your city. So every once in 3 months, every quarter, it's a place, where the citizens, elected representative, and the officials from different government machinery get to sit and discuss their budget, discuss their issues, and plan for the other things. They can also do social audit. There's so many powers for the area sabha, and that's what area sabha's power is. And what happened is, yes, we got the area sabhas. That's a huge milestone, thanks to the people movement of the collective thing. But is the area sabha, is it happening in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, as per the constitutional spirit or as per the democratic spirit? I have to say, unfortunately, no, because the government kept its promise, because we are pushing it, they institutionalized, but they're not giving enough powers, because, decentralization of power is something these political people are not very easy for them to devolve the powers to the citizen, right? So that's where our energy being focused now. We know, right, we have to get this done step by step. We have to get the area sabhas. We have to give the power to the people, and we have to make sure the water being given to us, the air we are breathing, the roads we travel, have to have a say. For that, area sabhas are important, not only in cities like Chennai, but it is in every city across the globe where urbanization is going in fast, rapid mode. So I would be very happy to share more details on area sabha later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charu. That was wonderful, just learning about this concept. I'm new to it, so I'm sure everyone else is also learning something new. Before we get to the Q&A session, I would like to ask Columbina to end off our presentation, and then we can go on to the Q&A session. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I hope you can see my screen correctly. I'm also going to present something very related with all the previous talks in very different aspects. I want to talk about a project that we have in Ciudadanía Inteligente, which is called Abre Alcaldías, and it's a participatory municipal democracy project. First, very briefly, as I was telling you before, Ciudadanía Inteligente is a Latin American organization with 16 years of experience, and we have focused particularly on participatory democracy, and in the case of this project, on capacity building, in a way that trains and connects local government, citizens, and civil society. The idea is to promote and mainstream participatory, open, and innovative local governance. Why this approach? And listening to all the other talks, we have this diagnosis that in Latin America, participatory democracy is not something so strange or that is not understood or well known, but usually the problems come with the implementation of these projects. So many local governments, and we are not even talking about the ones that don't have the political will. Many that have the political will to implement projects cannot do it because they don't have the capacities. And although this is a small effort and a capacity building effort, what we saw is that we could work with public servants that really wanted to achieve change at the local level, but they needed this push from civil society organizations and also the capacity building. So this project focused on the implementation part of projects, not only the design. So the model is capacity building on open government, collaborative design, and participatory democracy in general for public servants and civil society organizations at the local level that will remain there to make the local government accountable. We also give a lot of tools on how to co-create territorial solutions, but with a citizen-centered approach. We did an action plan with them and then follow up the implementation. And also we have a network of Latin American municipalities and organizations that are committed to these practices. So we are just talking about people that already want to do this, but they want to do it well so that they can share the best practices. This is important because one of the big problems of democracy today is that usually it frustrates expectations. So when sometimes people with a good intention try to develop one of these projects and it fails, it's the worst case scenario. I think it's even better to not try if you're not going to do it well, because then you also have angry and frustrated citizens that with a reason don't want to engage anymore in democracy or participatory democracy. Today we have 40 municipalities that has been part of this project with 35 action plans in 6 countries, in Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Colombia, and Chile, and Brazil, I believe, 50 teams and 20 experiences. We work always with regional partners. That's some of them that has been the local organization that acts as the counterpart of the local government. So it's us, this organization, that also participates in the capacity building and the local government. And at this moment, we have these Latin American networks, and sometimes we convene all of them together in a city in Mexico, or the last year was in Chile. We provide logistical support and scholarship. All this process is for free, so people apply and they receive like a scholarship to participate. And it's a hybrid model with asynchronical and also remote classes, but also we travel to the places and give in-person training. And also we developed a digital platform called Democracia Kit, which is an interactive user-centered platform that allows people to plan and implement their project in a nice and easy way. It's part of the capacity building effort. And just to provide a few examples of what we have done so far, we supported the Municipal Institute for Women in Cuauhtemoc, Chihuahua, Mexico, to conduct the municipality's first participatory budget focused on women's leadership and participation. In Ibarra, in Ecuador, we work with an intersectoral team driving a process of citizen engaging to design a platform for information gathering, direct communication, and rapid action in response to problems in the drinking water system. And this was done through typical and well-known messaging platforms like WhatsApp or Telegram, but it's actually working, and then people can ask questions and directly receive confident information. And recently in Bucaramanga in Colombia, we supported the enabling of the Future Public Innovation Lab, and that it's interesting because it's in the terms of mainstreaming or institutionalizing these practices, because also another risk that we have seen is that usually you can do these processes and they are very nice, but if they are not institutionalized, sometimes they are lost when the administration changes. But here the idea was to bring together the legal secretariat, technical teams, and citizens in a co-creation process so that this Future Public Innovation Lab has the robust tools and legal framework to exist and to strengthen from inside the municipality transparency, participation, and examination. So yes, I know we are running out of time, so I'm happy to share more. We have many lessons learned in this project, but I think it's all very much aligned with all the things that have been said here. And for us, this is one more tool or way of approaching these challenges that goes back to the local in times of difficulties with democracies, and to the most basic local places, and where we have seen the will to actually work with citizens, but that it's done well with accompaniment and with the resources in terms of capacities, so that the projects are actually participatory and you can make actually small but a difference for local populations. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Colombina. That was really informative. So the platform is open now for questions. And I think before we get to that, I know Charu had a question. I think for Joe, I would like to just highlight that before I forget to bring it up. Charu?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I had a quick question to Joe, because he was talking about writing these charters for the city, right? So Is that a legislative body at the city level which is doing this charter, or is it like they take inputs from, do they represent citizens' voices, or like how does it work?
There is a legislative body called the City Council, but the charter belongs to the people. So there are two ways to change it. One is that we have a direct democracy at the city level where somebody makes a proposal and spends quite a bit of money to pay signature gatherers to collect petitions for it, to enough petitions for it to make the ballot. It can be done that way. If you want to revise the charter, rewrite it, or change huge parts, you need a body, a special body that can be proposed by the people directly on the ballot. In this case, it was proposed by the city council and mayor under a lot of pressure after all these scandals. It was put on the ballot in November of 2024 and approved by the people. And then its members have been appointed. So it's a charter revision commission. And so that it has that power to then draft the thing, to draft things that then go back to the public for their approval. So you ask permission to start the process, and at the end, the people get to vote yes or no on the ideas.
Truly democratic. Thank you. Thank you very much. At least the process.
Okay, thank you. So I see Santosh will have to leave in a couple of minutes. So if anyone has questions they'd like to raise now before he leaves.
Maybe we can just say that to ask a question, you can either write it in the chat or you can raise your hand. And at that point, you will be able to ask your question online on camera. But be aware that we're streaming.
There is also a question in the chat already from earlier, and the question is, did anybody consider organizing a direct democracy group without asking government for help? From the time when it was posted, I can only guess it was directed to the first group of presenters.
Does anybody want to take that question?
Yeah, I mean, I can say a few things on that. So I think most of the speakers today have spoken about institutionalizing these participatory forums. I think what happens is, if you don't have the government along with you, even many a times when the government is already on board, it is highly difficult to get most of the decisions implemented or funds approved for the decisions that are made. So imagine when the government is not on board. So what is that you can do? I mean, you can just, as activists, you can keep pushing things, but I think most of us, I think, would try to have would try to convince the government to be on board. I think that is the whole effort, because you can't be in a constant campaign mode to be heard, right? So that is what I think, at least at Janaagraha, we try to institutionalize participation so that that matter is settled once for all, and then you can actually speak on how to improve your neighborhoods, how to start working towards bringing more improving the quality of life, right? So yeah, I mean, but having said that, we have organized across the state, tried to mobilize people, do things. So we have done that, at least in many instances, but it doesn't succeed, or it doesn't sustain beyond a certain point.
Okay, so I can just contribute to that. I think what we do basically, and that's given that question, is that we do a lot of strike a lot of partnership and collaboration between civil society, the government, and the private sector. We see how we can rather complement what is being done on ground, and how it can be better done when we have CSO government public or private business partnership. And so we try to see how we can create dialogue sessions where we talk about what is our challenges as CSOs, as government, as private sector, and how can we overcome it together. And so that has a sort of, synergize our energy and our agency, and it's giving us a better ground to move forward. That's just what I want to add to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to answer the question or? Okay. Do we have any other questions perhaps that anybody would like to ask? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for the whole group. This is the 40th year, the 40th anniversary of Metropolis, which is a organization of large cities. It was formed in Montreal back in 1985. Its founding members were diverse, and included Los Angeles, Addis Ababa, Abidjan, Colombo, London, Tokyo, New York, Buenos Aires, the state of Mexico, Carlos, Cairo, and I'm curious. First off, they have a vision of trying to help support metropolitan cities, improve quality of life in metropolitan cities, but they also have a governance vision for the whole world of large cities coming together. I think that the line is like, if the future is metropolitan, then large cities must collaborate with each other and help govern the world. Basically, that's the gist of the place. And I'm kind of curious the extent in which, when you're working locally in these big cities, that you are actually collaborating, find yourself getting advice or talking to people in other large cities. Has that ever happened? Does that ever come up in the context of this work?
Anybody feel free to unmute yourself and answer.
As I was telling, as citizens, we were learning how to, effectively participate and how to do because we had the law, but we didn't have the rules. So how to, properly do the rules for the areas of us to make that completely inclusive, representative and accountable. We were talking to other states in India, groups like citizens of Bangalore in Kerala. So, but we haven't gone beyond our country because here the law is you have the union law, and on top of that you can inherit that law and you can add some rules on top of it. But so that is where we kind of so we as a citizens group, we did both the things. On one side, we were advocacy group to the government organizations at the policy level. We will be doing survey, we will be doing a data driven approach to push them and urge them and appeal to them. On the other side, we'll also, because just being advocacy group doesn't end the things with government. Government has to see that whatever we are advocating, people are also asking for it. In democracy, the number has a huge power. So on the other side, we'll be working with the people groups, spending the campaign with them, going to the beach, making them, understand and doing the videos. So it's kind of, for us, what worked is doing both the things in a parallel mode. On one side, working with government organizations, and the other side, working with the people. And then when we need help, we had a network of, other, especially with the last 10 years with the WhatsApp and whatnot with technology. Even now we have a global network like this. So we had other groups which had already worked on this. Like there is a Kolkata, West Bengal is the one which had a very, very interesting rules on the area Sabha. They had if your area Sabha, I mean, if your citizens population is 3,000 in your neighborhood, there should be a representation for at least for 1,000 people, there should be one representative. That's the ideal thing. So the current law says that irrespective of the population, you should have only one representative. But the West Bengal rules say that, for 1,000, if you have one representative, it is, little bit meaningful. So those kind of ideas have been shared with other states in our work. but not across the globe so far. Probably I may get back to LA and Mexico to understand the participatory rules and referendums and going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Charu. Is there anyone else that would like to answer Joe's question? Okay. I just want to say thank you so much to the speakers. I'm just looking at the messages. Columbina suggesting that we should take a look at a global network called People Powered for interest. And she added the link as well in the chat. But I just wanted to thank you guys for the work you do. It's hard work, it usually goes unrecognized, but it's making a difference in the biggest way, even though it seems small right now. And there's also a lot of resources on the People Powered website. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing in between, but I think everyone could benefit from checking it out. And I also want to thank the people who have joined this webinar. We are closing in a minute. We went over time. Thank you for taking the time out just to listen and to come in with an open mind and to also just see what's happening in other parts of the world. We need more of these discussions. I think it would be really great going forward if we had more of these on different levels, because I mean, as everyone can see, there's a lot of information to take in, given all the areas and the contexts that people work in and how they've been able to navigate that. And I also think with the use of technology, things will hopefully also be more accessible for people in terms of just being able to participate in the political process and also feel like they have a voice, in the game, basically. So I'd like to thank everyone. I hope you have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, morning, wherever you are. And there are great links in the chat. Please fill out the survey at the end. We also linked the organization's websites if you're interested in the work they do, and please support them. And till next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.